This video is a visual and audio description of the before and after of the lot. The video starts with a picture of the house that was there before it had burned down, followed with a second picture of how it looked at when I bought it, minus the small speedboat. Starting at the front of the basement structure of the Bast pad before I had done anything to it, I am walking onto the concrete patio littered with debris. Starting from the front to one side, we can see an open space with various types of plants. Moving to the view in the middle. From here, we can see my car on the street. In the front space is a dense, overgrown bush of various plants and trees. The empty space I have to work that is the community garden side, and to my left is a basement structure filled with wood from the house that was once there. Trash, a mattress, roofing, plastic, dirt and other debris. Behind the basement structure is the backyard to the house filled with trees and overgrowth. From the backyard patio is a different look at the pile of wood and debris in the basement that is higher in the front than the back. Looking at the community garden side from this angle, the bush in the back takes up half the view. With my hand and standing in the front of the community garden lot side, I am trying to point out the perimeter that's underneath the overgrowth that can't be seen, hiding trash, a mattress, a dozen dumped tires and more space that can be cleared. The front of the community garden side is cleared enough to walk through or roll through with a wheelbarrow, making it a space that I'll use to bring the trash to the front. From the middle of the cleared space we are looking at a vine cave from the side with a hole in the middle. Inside underneath the vine cave are several tires. Included in the video on paper is a floor plan like style of my basement structure and the backyard to give a basic overview of the space. The front measures 14 feet width and from front to back 72 feet length. This where I will build my house. Next to that space is the community garden space, which is a smaller rectangle with a small triangle on the side, but the garden will be in the rectangular space. With the help of a friend volunteering, they helped me get started on cleaning out the basement, starting with the corner, lifting out large structural wood and pails of dirt, and sorting stones from the basement walls that had crumbled in. Now we have a better look at the depth of basement from top to bottom of the corner we cleaned out. The basement is about 6 feet deep. All the trash was thrown away and the wood and dirt was thrown to the side of the basement to cover a bit of the overgrowth, creating a rough walkway of dirt and wood from back to the front. Standing in the front of the garden space on the right is a bunch of vines climbing up the electrical pole, creating a vine cave at the bottom. Another friend of mine is a plant expert and has a master's in bioengineering, helped me combine through all the different foliage to identify each of them to know which ones to cut and which ones to keep, including what their properties were in case I had different use for them. Once I had learned that 98% of the overgrowth was non-native and invasive, it made clearing the space easier, revealing more trash and saving the native plants. I did some chopping of the vines with my machete at the bottom, thinning out the vine cave. I got started on taking trash out from everywhere and cut down some of the bush in the back, creating more of a wider walkway. More cleaning of the basement. I got halfway through the basement. Chopped more overgrowth in the backyard space and on the side perimeter of the garden space, making it easier to see the perimeter from the backyard all around to the front of the garden space. A full 360 to show how it's really coming along. The ground floor of the community garden is appearing to be more flat and the basement ground floor is now distinguishable. After this I hired some extra hands to help me get another 25% of the basement done, along with some detailing and sorting through the debris. I then covered the progress we made with a tarp to keep dirt from falling back on the basement floor, and to cover the sorted bricks we had dug out of the debris. It perfectly covers all 75% of the work done. All the dirt from the basement we threw to the back of the community garden space where the big bush of overgrowth had been, and the pile stands at about 4.5 feet tall and 8 feet wide. The wood was thrown in a pile next to the basement and it stands at about the same height. Trash is mostly gone as it had been picked up by the local sanitation. Standing again at the front, there is a 3-foot pile of dirt between the front patio of the basement structure and the community garden. Walking towards the back, from the pile of wood, I have laid pieces of plywood where there are still patches of weeds. I can now stand on the exposed fallen tree trunk that was underneath a bush in the back of the lot. To one side of the tree, I have a pile of dirt from the basement, and in front of that is the pile of wood on the side of the basement. On the other side of the tree are pieces of plywood covering weeds and a bunch of clippings on the ground around the space. In the front, there is a better look at the 3-foot dirt mound. I've cut down the vine cave and did some digging of the dirt mound, bringing it down to a foot. The dirt from there is being moved to the back with the other dirt pile. More digging at the dirt mound uncovered cinder blocks and pieces of concrete. A truckload of wood chips arrived, thanks to a connection I made through the free section on Craigslist. The wood chips were approximately 8 feet tall and 14 feet wide. Standing on my newly cleared back patio, I saw that my backyard was covered with all the trimmings of the overgrowth, and some trees had been cleared. Looking around, the dirt pile I had in the back had been flattened and spread out, the wood pile had been thrown to the now distinct perimeter, and the lot was ready to be covered with wood chips. Spreading the wood chips took me a full week. Day after day, I made the wood chip pile smaller. The garden space was really coming together, looking neat, clean, leveled, and moist, thanks to the free delivery of wood chips from the awesome tree cutting company. It covered the backyard with 2 layers and the whole garden space with 2 layers. The wood chips looked beautiful in the sunset, with a burnt orange color. My neighbor, who had seen all the work I had done, offered to help. He lives in the neighborhood and is connected to a neighbor of ours who owns a construction company and machines. He also knows how to operate the machines, so he brought by a bobcat skid steer to push the fallen tree trunk to the back of the lot, move large piles, and help flatten the lot. As I stand at the front of my lot, I'm pleased to see that the garden space is now cleared and open. This area had become my primary focus, as it was easier to work on and was nearing completion to move on to the next steps, the building process. Now the garden space looks especially clean and spacious. With the help of another neighbor and his truck, I gathered pallets to build a fence for the garden space. These pallets, obtained for free from Facebook Marketplace, were used in conjunction with salvaged wood, rocks, and concrete pieces to create a fence line. The fence has 2 sections, a shorter front portion and a taller back section. Although I didn't have enough pallets to enclose the entire garden space, the fence provides a sense of security for my cat, myself, and the space. It also deters people from dumping large household items in the area. As I walk through the lot, I notice the perimeter is clearly visible, stretching towards the horizon. However, I also see signs of erosion, which I'm addressing by building a retaining wall using scraps of wood and dirt from the basement. The sound of birds chirping and the smell of fresh wood chips fill the air. Even during the winter, space remained beautiful, with snow covering the lot like a blanket. As I continue to work on the garden space, I'm grateful for the support of my valued neighbor, who has provided materials, labor, and expertise. Their contributions have been invaluable, and I'm happy to have them as a neighbor and friend. To show my appreciation, I've donated $100, given them one of my kitty care packages, and gifted them baby chicks that they wanted that have grown into 3 egg-laying hens and a rooster. Now, as I wake up each morning to the sound of the crowing rooster, I feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. The lot, once a neglected space, has transformed into a thriving garden and a symbol of community and friendship. As I turn my gaze upon the cleared basement structure, I'm filled with a sense of pride for the work that's been done and a hopefulness for the future I dream for. I envision the day when my house will stand on this foundation, providing me with a warm and welcoming home. With each task accomplished, I feel closer to making that dream a reality, and the thought fills me with excitement and anticipation. Dear friends and supporters, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each of you for following my journey as I transformed the community garden and the Bast pad from a neglected space into a thriving oasis. The community garden is now ready for the next phase, where neighbors will come together to create plant beds, walkways, a seating area, and more. As the community takes the lead on this project, I'll shift my focus back to the basement structure and the building of the Bast pad. Over the past summer, I made significant progress, clearing 75% of the basement. This summer, I aim to complete the remaining 25% of the cleanup and begin rehabilitating the basement walls. Once this is done, I'll start constructing the first floor, or the ceiling of the basement. This is where your support becomes crucial. I'm counting on your donations, volunteer efforts, and connections to help me secure the necessary resources to complete the basement cleanup, reconstruct the walls, and build the first floor. To learn more about this project and how you can contribute, please visit my GoFundMe page at gofundme.com/bastpad. You can also connect with me through my social media channels, listed on the page. Thank you again for your support and encouragement. Together, we can bring this vision to life. Best, Marilyn C. and Ashes Kitty.